Hi, good evening. How are you doing? Good evening. I'm so sorry. I'm joining in 9 minutes late, and that was because I've been battling with network. I'm so sorry about that. How are you doing? How has the day been? Work, school run, children, little ones. How has it been? Yeah. Good evening, good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome. If you can hear me, let me know. Let me know you can hear me. Let me know you can see me. Let me know where you're joining from. And the conversation is parenting your strong willed child with calm. 6 things you need to know because I get a lot of questions from parents who have strong willed children, right? So some people say my child is hyperactive, my child is stubborn, my child doesn't listen. So we just want to have this conversation so that you can know what 6 things you need to know about your child and how you can navigate like parenting them with calm, right? Because at the end of the day, you are still their parent, they are still your children, and their personality is their personality. There's no need to break them in the process of parenting them because the personality is going to serve them and yourself later in life, right? So it might be difficult right now, but in the future, that personality is going to serve you and them, right? So, what are the 6 things you need to know about your child, your strong willed child, that will help you parent them with calm, right? That's the conversation we are having. So, if you can hear me, let me know. Let me know that you can hear me. Just type in the box, I can hear you. Then also let me know where you're joining in from so that we can keep the conversation going. I'm trying to get my notes. I can find my notes. Okay. All right. So I'm still waiting. I haven't seen your comments. So just let me know you can hear me so that we can go ahead with the conversation. Let me know you can hear me and see me so that we can go ahead with the conversation. Right? So I was asking how your day has been, how the kids have been, how work has been, and everything in between, right? I hope everything is fine. Okay, Ask Dr. IB says, I can hear you joining in from Abuja. That's beautiful. I'm in Abuja too. That's good. It's good to see you. It's good to have the conversation with you. All right, so I'll just hit the road running while I wait for other people's comments, right? Thank you for joining Ask.ib, right? So, who is a strong willed child? First of all, let's understand who a strong willed child is so that you can know if your child is a strong willed child, right? So, a strong willed child is a child who has a mind of their own, right? They are those kind of children who have intense temperament, who wants to, know why they have to do something, who they just they are more autonomous than the regular child, right? They are not they don't comply easily. They want to understand, they want to ask questions, they want to know why the boundary is there, they want to know why you want them to do what you want them to do, right? So by temperament, they are highly temperamental, they are sensitive, they are very very sensitive children, and they are highly irritable, right? So a strong willed child is a kind of child that a lot of people call stubborn because they question you. They are the kind of child a lot of people call hyperactive because they are all over the place, right? But your child is not stubborn. I don't even like to call any child stubborn. I would rather use the word strong willed or spirited, because when you're saying stubborn, you're also speaking into the child's life, right? So when you're calling the child stubborn, you're speaking into the child's life. And remember that you're the parent of this child, and whatever you speak is like you're the prophet over their life as well. So whatever you speak will manifest, right? So I'd rather use strong-willed, which is something that is positive. So this leads me to the first thing, right? This leads me to the first thing you need to know about your child. Now, this is their personality. They are strong-willed, and it's not all bad. So it might be something that is giving you a difficult time right now, because it's not easy to parent them, because they are those kind of children who are always questioning you. And we need to understand that your child questioning you isn't such a bad thing. Your child questioning you isn't such a bad thing. Your child asking you why isn't such a bad thing. Because we are raised in a culture mostly where, or in a time where we were not allowed to question, we were not allowed to ask. I mean, how dare you ask your father anything? How dare you ask your mom why back in the days? So because we are raised like that, we are conditioned to think that a child, you can see a child, but you shouldn't hear them, right? A child doesn't have a voice, a child doesn't have opinion. Because we are conditioned that way, we now look at children who have a voice like they are loud, like they're just stubborn, like they just want to be in people's faces, they just want to do things that they are not asked to do, right? No, your strong-willed child can question you, and it's okay for your child to question you. Yes, it's going to be, you're getting used to it. It's not something that comes naturally to you because of how you two were raised. But let's look at it this way. There is a reason that your child is made with that kind of personality, right? And this personality that you're seeing as a disadvantage right now in their young age is going to become an advantage for them in the future. Let's say, for instance, in when they become teenagers, and things like peer pressure start to arise, is that strong-willed nature that they are going to use to navigate through those kind of situations, right? It's that strong-willed nature that will help a child say no, I'm not doing this thing because it doesn't align with my value. Is that strong-willed nature that will make a child have a thinking mind to question, why do you want me to do this thing? Why do you want me to join you guys to do this thing? What's the importance of this thing? And question and make an informed decision. So my point is, it's your child's personality, and your goal in parenting them shouldn't be to change that personality. The person who made that child has a reason for making that child that way, because he has seen the end from the beginning. He knows everything that your child is going to go through in their life, and he knows that your child needs this personality to navigate through life and to become successful eventually in life. So your goal as a parent of a strong-willed child shouldn't be to break them, shouldn't be to change them, shouldn't be to make them malleable, shouldn't be to make them compliant, but is to preserve their strong-willed nature and nurture that nature and help them apply that nature in a way that serves and empowers them, as well as you, in a way that serves both of you and also empowers them, right? So the goal of parenting a strong-willed child is not to break them. That is the number one thing you need to know. The goal of parenting a strong-willed child is not to break them, is not to change them, is not to make them obedient, is not to make them compliant. Because strong-willed children, spirited children, are actually very, very, they are the go-getters of the future, right? They are the the people who stand for others, the people who stand for justice, because they have a mind of their own, they have a strong-willed nature. So it's not to break them, it's not to make them malleable, but to help them sit back, observe your child, and try to nurture them and help them apply their personality in a way that serves you and serves them. I've seen a lot of parents who say, oh, I wish my child was more compliant. I wish this child can listen. I wish I'll just tell my child this and they will do it immediately. That is a good thing to wish for. And if you have that kind of child as well, your set of problems and your set of where you now put your parenting attention is different as well, because those kind of children also come with their own issues or their own weaknesses. They are the kind of children who are easily influenced. So as a parent, if you have a child who is very, very compliant, your goal now will now be to teach them to be more like forward thinking, to be more of somebody who can speak up for themselves, to be more of somebody who can analyze their choices and make an informed decision, right? So for every point in time in your parenting journey, your duty as a parent is to sit back, watch and observe your child, understand who they are, understand their strengths and their weaknesses, and then know the skills that you want to teach them so that they can apply their personality in a way that serves them, right? So number one thing that you need to know is that your child's personality is their personality, and that personality, even though it's giving you a difficult time right now, is going to serve you in the future and serve your child in the future. Number two thing you need to know is that the goal of parenting your strong-willed child is not to change them, is actually to find a way to help them apply their personality in a way that serves you and in a way that serves them, right? So you're not going to change your child. You're not going to stop your child from asking why. You're not going to stop your child from trying to push boundaries. Rather, you're going to adjust to help your child apply that personality. So you can be that parent who plans ahead, or who plans the scenario. So you're going to tell your child to pick up something, and you know that your child is already going to ask you, why should I pick it up, right? So before they ask, so that you're not triggered, you're going to say, pick up this thing because if you leave it there, it's going to wound you, and if you run into it, someone run into it and matches it, it's going to wound them, or it can make you trip and fall, right? So that way, once you're able to convince them, once you're able to get a buy-in from them, you don't have a problem with them, right? You don't have a problem with them. So you want to, when you have understood your child's personality, you now align your communication and how you relate with them based on that personality, right? Number two thing is that you must understand that your child has intense emotional response to every minor disappointment. So it should be something that you already know by now. So it shouldn't be something that triggers you and makes you want to go crazy every time it happens, right? It shouldn't be something that triggers you and makes you go crazy every time it happens. You should understand by now that this is who my child is, right? Thank you, Coach Ruchina. You should already know it, that this is who my child is. They react intensely to disappointment. They have intense emotional reaction to every little thing, and that is how they are. Remember, from the beginning, we're saying you don't have to change your child. Your child is not responsible for you. You are responsible for them. Their personality is their personality. You don't have to change it. You have to adjust your parenting to nurture the kind of child that you have. So for this child who has an intense emotional response to disappointment, your duty as a parent is to provide them calm when they are disappointed, to provide the solution that they need when they are disappointed, and not to fuel that intense response, right? So this is where a lot of people have the difficulty, right? Because let's say your strong-willed child is playing and their car falls under the bed or something, or under the chair, and they're not able to pick it, right? So a normal child or a very compliant child will just come and maybe try to pick it, and then they cannot pick it, they move on to another thing immediately. Those ones are easily distracted, they don't want to wahala, they're just easygoing. That's their personality. But a strong-willed child wants to play with that car, and he's trying to get that car, and that car is not coming out. The strong-willed child will want to shout down the roof. They have intense emotional response to things, right? And it's okay. And it's okay. Your duty as a parent is to bring your calm to that situation, right? Bring your calm to that situation, because now your goal, one of your goals as a parent to a strong-willed child, is to help them learn how to navigate and help them learn how to regulate their emotions. And you cannot do this if you are also fueling that emotion, right? You cannot do this is if you are also fueling that emotion. So in those moments of intense emotional responses, your responsibility is to bring your calm. And they are watching you and they are learning how to navigate, right? They are watching you and they are learning how to navigate. You bring your calm, and it is with your calm that you can provide solution. It is with your calm that you can talk them through that emotion. It is with your calm that you can provide succor for them, because that intense emotional response is legitimate for them. So they are the kind of people that in their adult life you say these people are hot-tempered, these people just speak their mind, these people just want to say how they feel. Now, the difference is that your strong-willed child at that tender age doesn't have the vocabulary to tell you that this is what I'm going through, this is how I feel about my toy that fell under the chair. They don't have the vocabulary. The only thing they know to do is to shout and to cry to get your attention. And your attention that they are seeking is for you to come and show them that everything is going to be all right. It's not that bad. And you cannot provide that kind of emotional support for them if you're a parent who doesn't know how to maintain your calm in such situations. I know that a lot of people just want to hear that, oh, I have a strong-willed child, give me 5 things that I need to do so that my child will stop shouting. I'm not that kind of coach, right? I'm the kind of coach who tells you the way it is, right? This is who your child is, and we're not going to change your child. We're going to fix you so that you can be the model that your child will see and apply themselves and become the kind of person that you want them to be, right? So that's how you change your child. It's not by talking, or it's not by saying do this or don't do that. It's by doing and being, right? So you now you know that this is who my child is. My child has intense emotional responses to things. So you want to show up with your calm to help your child, and to help you people navigate that time, right? Then another thing you need to know, this number 4 now, is that a strong-willed child needs leadership. A strong-willed child needs leadership, especially in these moments of intense emotional outbursts. So a strong-willed child needs leadership, right? Choma says, yes, being strong-willed can be an asset. I agree. And she says, like when my 3-year-old refused to use his right hand, he is a lefty. When a teacher was insisting he use it right, they want what they want. They want what they want, and it's not a bad thing. It's actually a trait that the world needs more of, and the world is the way it is because a lot of us have been broken in our childhood. So you grow up, you're in bad relationships, you cannot speak up for yourself, someone is treating you bad, you cannot speak up for yourself because as a child you were taught not to speak up for yourself, right? And that is not something you want to do to your child. Allow them to be who they are, because everything that they are going to go through in life has been factored in creating them. God doesn't make mistake. God is very, very organized. So God knows that your child needs that strong-willed nature to navigate through life and through the challenges they are going through, the peculiar challenges they are going to face in life. So if you break them, you're doing them a disservice. You're opening them up to struggle in life, right? So the good thing to do is to fix yourself and bring your inner calm to the relationship that you have with your child. And the only way you can bring your inner calm, this calm that I'm talking about, when I talk about calm, I'm not talking about, oh, count 1 to 3, breathe and do this. It's an inner work that you need to do as a parent so that you can show up at every time with your child, to your child with intention, Deliberate with your calm to help your child navigate through their stormy, through the stormy times that they face. When children cry, when children are frustrated, they don't just want to cry because they want to make our life difficult. You have to have that at the back of your mind. They don't just want to cry because they want to cry. They have legitimate difficulties as well, right? So let me give you an instance. Um, let's say a child is playing. Let's say a child is playing and their toy falls, or let's say a child wakes up in the morning, and then through the day she wants to play with her toys, her favorite toys, and she can't find the toy. It's a toy that she likes to play with. She can't find the toy, and then she's crying, she's screaming, and then you're trying to fix her, you're trying to make her not to cry, you're trying to tell her, pick another toy now, must it be that toy? Now let's flip this. The way your child is feeling, these emotions that your child is going through is the same emotions that you as an adult goes through when, for instance, you get up in the morning and you need your car keys to drive out and you can't find your car keys, right? Imagine someone coming to that point and telling you, why are you making noise now? Is it not just car key? Just go out and take a taxi. How would you feel? You would almost slap the person, because the person is like saying you're not supposed to be feeling bad for looking for your car keys. But that is what we do to children every time. They feel bad for something that they legitimately love and something that they legitimately miss. And the simple thing to provide them is compassion, right? At least provide them compassion and then try to move them out of that mood, but not trying to help make them suppress the mood and look like, okay, they don't have any right to feel the way that they feel, right? So we have to have it at the back of our mind that most times when children are having difficult times, it's not like they want to be difficult. They're actually feeling something. They have their own age appropriate problems and difficulties and frustrations, and that is the only way that they can express, and the only thing we can do is to help them navigate. Of course, there are rare instances where children are trying to push boundaries and push limits and all of that, but that shouldn't be the first thing that comes to our mind when our children cry or when our children make a fuss, right? Don't always see it like your child is trying to make your life difficult. Let the first thought that comes to your mind be that, oh, maybe my child is having a difficult time, how can I help them? Oh, what is this child going through? How can we navigate this? Let that be the kind of thoughts that come through your mind. And these kind of thoughts cannot come through your mind if you haven't learned to parent with calm, if you haven't learned to do the inner working that helps you have your inner calm as a parent. So I was saying that the first thing you need to know about your strong-willed child is that they need leadership, right? So in the moment of their intense temperament, in the moments of their intense tantrums, the best thing you can do for your strong-willed child is to provide leadership, to provide calm. That is not the time to shout. That is not the time to raise your voice. You know what happens? Because it now becomes a battle of who shouts better, right? They are strong-willed and they want to outshout you, right? So they are shouting, you're shouting, they are shouting, you're shouting, they are shouting, you too, you're raising your voice, and at some point you're going to get tired. At some point you either hit them, you push them, and your relationship grows apart in that moment, and they keep shouting. At some point, some parents now start to feel guilty. They now come back, they now tell them, sorry, I'm sorry that I have shouted. And then most times this cycle of guilt, what happens is that most times when you have shouted at your child, or when you have been aggressive at your child for a very long time, you now start to feel guilty. Then you now become a little bit permissive because you feel like you have been too hard on your child. Then you now allow them do some things that you wouldn't have allowed them to do naturally. So why not just be that calm parent who provides leadership in the heat of the moment? When I was having this conversation yesterday, someone says, yeah, sometimes you may not have the patience, you lose your patience, and you just snap, and that is fine, which is why we need to constantly raise our level of consciousness and awareness. And the moment that you realize that you're getting to that point where you want to shout, you want to control yourself, you want to devise means to put a stop and a pause to yourself, right? Because that is not what your child needs in that moment. I have a very strong-willed son. My son is like I thought my daughter was strong-willed until I had my son. In fact, my husband says that it's because of what I do, because of the work that I do with toddler parents, that God gave me that kind of son. So my son is very strong-willed, right? But when you provide leadership, I noticed that the intense the intense tantrum kind of like reduces. So he's shouting for something, and you're providing compassion and leadership instead of aggression. He looks at you and he's like, okay, what is going on here? Because probably he's expecting a different kind of reaction. And what happens is that the when in a tantrum, there are two phases of tantrums, right? There is the anger phase and there is the sad phase. So when you provide leadership, the transition from anger phase to sad phase is shorter. So if you notice in a tantrum, your child throws a tantrum, they are angry, and after some time they are sobbing, and they now need you, they want to hug you, they want to, they want you to pet them. So that's the sad phase of the tantrum. So for a strong-willed child, when you provide that kind of calm and leadership, that transition from anger phase to sad phase is shorter. And then they move into that phase. That is now where you now comfort them for what is going on, try to understand what is going on, and hopefully use a teachable moment to teach them how to navigate when next something like that happens. For every time you have that kind of interaction with your child, for every time your child has that kind of intense emotional expression, what you want to do as a parent is to build their skills for regulation. And you cannot do that if you're shouting with them. In fact, if you're shouting with them, you're telling them that what they are doing, how they are expressing their emotion is fine, because you yourself is expressing your emotion that in that way as well, right? So you want to always, at every point in time, provide skills, build the skills. The skills won't happen like magic. But if you, for every time you have that interaction, you have a conversation that teaches them a skill or shows them how to navigate, you're definitely building a skill. And before you know it, your child will know how to express their emotions, your child will know how to use their words, and the intense reactions will reduce gradually, right? So in these moments, you want to provide leadership, you want to help them build their skills. I think I have taken like 2 points in one, right? So you want to help them, you want to provide leadership and calm, and then you want to help them improve improve their their skills for regulating. But the question is, how do you even teach someone to regulate when you as a parent, you don't know how to regulate your own emotion, right? A lot of us are triggered very easily. In fact, a lot of us, I've had a client who said that when she hears a child crying, it's like, as in her body, as in it's like they're stabbing her in her body. It makes her angry, right? She can't stand the cry of a child. And when we walked through with her, we realized that she was really traumatized as a child. Like, she had to suck in a lot of emotions as a child. She wasn't allowed to cry as a child. And a lot of parents still do that right now. You beat a child. How do you beat a child and you're saying, keep quiet, shut up? You beat a child for crying out loud. It's painful. They want to cry. Let them cry and, express that emotion and let it dissipate. But you want them to suck it in. And one thing with emotions is that any emotion that is sucked up doesn't go anywhere. It only translates into another bigger emotion or a secondary emotion, and it will reflect. That's why you see children, those sucked up emotion, that's why you see children, they start hitting, they become aggressive themselves, right? They become easily angry because there's a lot of emotions that they are sucking in. So As most of us, if I were to do our adverse childhood experiences test score, most of us had adverse childhood experiences and will actually have a score in that test. So one of the things I tell parents to do is to actually walk through the journey of healing from your adverse childhood experiences. This is one of the things that can help you have that inner calm that is required to parent a strong-willed child, right? So this is how you can have that inner calm that is required to parent a strong-willed child. So the last point is that your strong-willed child can only get better at regulating their emotions if you teach them and show them, right? I think I have touched on this in the previous point. So they can only get better at regulating themselves if you teach them and if you show them. If you're not teaching them, if for every time you interact with your child, what you are doing is he's having a tantrum and you're shouting, the child is shouting, and at the end of the day everybody goes, you haven't taught your child anything. So tomorrow you're still going to have another tantrum of the same intensity, if not more. But if for every time you have a tantrum episode with your child, you provided calm and you taught them how to regulate, yes, there might be a tantrum tomorrow, but it may not be of that intensity, especially if it was the same thing that you guys treated yesterday that is causing that same tantrum today, right? So let's say it was time to cut off the screen and your child is having a tantrum because you have cut off the screen, and you provided calm, and you provided calm, you allow them to express, and then you had the conversation with them why it's why they shouldn't watch too much TV and why you're doing what you're doing, right? You provide calm, you provide compassion. If tomorrow it's time to cut off TV again, it's time to you maybe take their bath and you want to cut off TV, they're still going to feel bad because they love watching TV. So if you cut off the TV, they're still going to feel bad, and they're most likely going to have a tantrum regardless of the conversation that you both had the previous day. But what happens is that you have built a skill in them, you have built a conviction in them, you have sowed a seed in them to make them understand why you have to cut off TV. So when you're like, okay, but we had this conversation yesterday, you're going to continue with your TV tomorrow when it's screen time, they would understand, and that tantrum will not be as intense as the one you had the previous day. So that is what building skills does for you and your child. So for every time you people have these episodes, you want to build on the skills, and that's how you keep, it's like layering it, that's how you keep on building it, and over time they master these skills and they transition out. And a lot of parents say, oh, don't worry, it's the phase, they are going to outgrow it. Please, as you are outgrowing, as your child is growing, keep on building these skills, because if you're constantly shouting, if you're constantly yelling, if people are constantly having the power tussle, it's also growing with your child. That method of resolution is what is growing with your child. And your child is not going to become 7 years old, 8 years old, and then magically learn how to resolve their emotions. No, it is what you have taught them that they are going to grow with, right? So you don't just sit down and say, oh, I'm not going to parent my child, they are toddlers, that is how toddlers behave, and they will outgrow it. By the time they're 7 years old, they will be fine, we will all be fine. That's not right. You keep on teaching and you keep on building the skills, and that is what your child is growing with, and that is what they're learning with. So the foundation for everything that I have said is that you have to fix your own self. You have to do the inner work that is required to parent with calm, right? You have to do the inner work that is required to parent with calm. You have to up on your emotional strength. You have to up on your mental strength, right? Because it's mentally tasking as well. I mean, you have a lot of things going on. You have work, you have bills that are going on, things that you're thinking about, and then the last thing you want to deal with is a child that is coming with a lot of drama, right? So that is where you need to up your mental strength so that you have the capacity to withstand much more than you can in this time, right? You have to up your communication skills, because if you're able to get communication right, a lot of these things are easier. Then you have to learn how to set boundaries. A lot of us don't have rules, regulations that guide our homes, so you have to learn how to set boundaries. You have to learn how to enforce boundaries. You have to learn how to apply consequences. These are the tools that you need to navigate most of these challenges when it comes to, you know, parenting a strong-willed child. Because at the end of the day, I always say, you don't want to be the reason why your child will grow up and they end up in therapy. You don't want to be the reason why your child will grow up and they're reading self-help books. You don't want to be the reason why your child will grow up and they don't believe in themselves. You know, you're saying things in anger, you're shouting at them, and you're ripping them of all the self-confidence and self-esteem that they have. You don't want to be that parent who is that way, right? You want to be the parent who provided calm for their child and who helped their child learn how to regulate. And you can only do that if you yourself learn how to regulate, right? So you have to up on your emotional capacity, your emotional and mental capacity. You have to up on your communication skills. You have to up on your ability to set the right boundaries, enforce boundaries, and apply consequences the right way. And this is what I'm doing with 50 parents for 1 month. We're working through all of this, having the right mindset, healing from your childhood trauma. My son is crying, he needs me. All right, so let's quickly round off. He needs my attention. I've been in here for a while. So for 1 month, I'm holding 50 parents accountable, and we're walking through healing from your childhood trauma, having the right mindset, building up on how you can communicate to your little humans, your discipline skills, setting the right boundaries, enforcing your boundaries, and applying consequences, right? And you know, the interesting part of that 1 month journey for me is actually on the healing, because it's actually when you heal from your childhood traumas that you can naturally provide calm for your child. So we're going to do a lot of inner works. I'm going to do a lot of inner works with the parents who joined that 1 month training called the Parenting with Calm challenge. It's actually a challenge, so it's going to function like a challenge. I'm not just teaching, I'm teaching and I'm challenging you, and I'm giving you tasks that you can implement and apply, as in so that you can apply the teaching in real life situation and see how it works out for you. And then we hold you accountable. If it doesn't work, you report back, and then we analyze and see why it didn't work and how we can make it work, right? So guys, you want to join that challenge, and the link is in my bio to join the challenge. And I look forward to seeing you. The challenge starts April 5th, yeah, but we have an ongoing discount rate that is running right now. So if you're interested in the challenge, you want to go right now and take advantage of that discount, and we'll get you on board and we'll set you up for the challenge. And trust me, what I promise for those who sign up for the challenge is that in 30 days you can become a less stressed, less overwhelmed, calm parent who is able to handle whatever your child brings to the table with calm. And in 30 days, if you implement your calm, you're going to see the transition in your child into becoming a calmer child as well, and a better behaved child, right? So if you're listening to me right now, you have a strong-willed child, you have a tiny little human who is making you pull your hair, and you're wondering how you can navigate, this is your chance to make things different. If you're listening to me and you find out that you're constantly yelling, you move from 0 to 100 in a split of a second, you're always pulling your hair, this is your chance. If you're listening to me and you've heard, oh, stop yelling at your child, stop beating your child, and you're wondering, what else can I do? What else can I do? How do I even talk to these children that don't listen? Then this is your chance. If you're listening to me and you're always feeling guilty, you're parenting with fear, feeling like you're spoiling your child, feeling like you're not doing well, this is your chance to build your confidence. At the end of this training, you're going to have the confidence that you need to parent your kids with confidence and with calm and with compassion. And when you put these recipes together, the end outcome is a better behaved child. Trust me on that, right? So guys, thank you so much for showing up. I hope you have learned a lot about your strong-willed child and what you can do to help them navigate and how you can parent them better. I hope you learned something. If you learned something, let me know in the comments. And if you have a question, I would take questions now before I sign out. Did you learn anything? Did you learn something? Did you learn something? Let me know. Okay, Chidi Sports says I learned something. Thank you, sis. That's my sister-in-law. Thank you, thank you. Abidi, yes, I did. Thank you so much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. So, does anybody have any question? If you have any question, let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Let's get it. Any question? Anything your child does that? Okay. Chidi says, especially how to deal with tantrums. Not yelling at the child while the child is tantruming. Yeah. That's very, 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 very important. That's very important, Chidima. Very, very important, because when you're yelling at them, you're only telling them that, okay, this is actually how to react. When I'm angry, I should be yelling, right? And you're reinforcing the behavior, because most times the root cause of their tantrum is because they're also frustrated and angry. And you're just telling them, oh, this is how we react when we're angry. And the tantrum will continue. Right. So, do we have any other question? Do we have any question? Mrs. Luafemi, thank you so much. Do we have any other question? Okay. In the absence of any other question, I will sign out, and I'll see you guys some other time. So, and I hope that I see you in the challenge, guys. If you really are struggling, with your child's behavior, I recommend this challenge, not because I'm the one doing it, but I know what I'm bringing to the table, and I know what I have. I have walked the journey, right? I have walked the journey myself, and what I'm bringing is what I have implemented in my own life, and what I have also helped a lot of families who have gone through this kind of training that we hold in the academy to implement in their life and to help them find their calm. So if you are struggling, there is no shame. This is a no shaming zone. This is a no judgment zone. If you know me, then you know that I'm that person who will hug you, because I know you're doing the best that you can. But we can always do better, right? And if you're seeking to do better, the right way to do it is to seek knowledge, seek support, and seek accountability. And that is everything that we are providing in that 30 days. And in 30 days, you're going to come out fine. You're going to come out fine, and you're going to come out confident, and you're going to come out happy that you took up the challenge. That challenge is not the price for the challenge is not up to 10% of what it should cost. Because I'm going to play therapist and coach and support for you for 30 days, right? So guys, take advantage. Take advantage. Have a wonderful evening, and God bless you. My love to the little ones, and bye bye. Thank you, Choma. Thank you so much. Thank you. Yeah, I'm going to save it, guys. All right, thank you.